Brendan, you've had a couple of days to look at the game against Watford. What did you make of the players' levels in that game? And I don't just mean fitness levels; I mean the quality levels they showed as well after such a long time off.
I was pleased in the game. Of course, I don't think there's any team at this period and having had so long off will be right at have the rhythm of the game as what they might have been earlier on the season. But I was really really pleased with the fitness levels of the players. As the game grew in the second half, the intensity of the game was still there, the running ability was still there. So I was pleased with that aspect, and of course that got us in front late on in the game. So it felt like a defeat, of course, when you concede so late on in the manner, because throughout the game I thought in terms of crosses and balls into the box we dealt with it really really well. However, there's learning in it, so we just have to be better in that situation going forward. And like I say, it was a nearly 3 points, but we take our point and learn from
it. Stunning goal from Ben Chilwell. He said in the post-match that you've been encouraging to shoot more often when he gets into that sort of position. Is that right?
Yeah, well, he has the quality. I think in terms of the game, we had a drinks break just before he had an opportunity to shoot. He got into a great position because obviously we want him to get forward. He has that talent to score more, and it's encouraging him to do that. And sometimes just having that ruthless streak in you to not pass and get your shot off. So it was a great ball with Demi. He's a wonderful touch, and then the strike is absolutely sublime. So no, he's looked really really good since he's come back from the lockdown, and that was a continuation of how he's been training and playing in a game. So yeah, it was a wonderful strike.
Have you spoken to him since? I wonder if scoring a goal like that, you would hope would give him the confidence to try it a little bit more. It's all very well you telling him, but when he scores a goal like that, I guess he'll be tempted a bit more, will he?
Yeah, I think, listen, there's sometimes tactically in the game where he maybe he's playing in a different role, so he maybe not have the opportunity as much. But he certainly has the qualities, like you've seen throughout the season. He's got a wonderful left foot, he's got great power, and he strikes the ball really, really well. So hopefully there's maybe one or two more to come before the end of the season.
I want to ask you about substitutions, because it was Damari Gray that set up Chilwell's goal, and that's the 13th time this season that a Leicester sub has scored or assisted a goal, which says you're doing something pretty extraordinary in terms of substitutions. That's the most in the league. How does it work from your perspective? Is it something you tend to plan in advance, obviously making amendments if circumstances change, or do you literally go in with a blank canvas and say, let's see how it goes and see what the circumstances dictate?
We have an idea, obviously, as a staff. We work very, very hard, and we sit down and analyse throughout the week. We look at situations. Then, of course, it's never 100%. You're having to read the game and see how the flow of the game is and what the game needs. So, but no, it's down to the players. Of course, you can very easily, as a manager, pick the wrong team. So. It's not all for the manager, but of course you have to read certain situations in games, but that's also helped by the work that we put in prior to the game, trying to anticipate what may happen, the different scenarios, and then obviously reading it as it develops in front of you. So, but I've always stressed the importance of the 11 that finish the game as opposed to the 11 that start, because the impact of those players are vital for us. So whether it's an attacking substitution, defensive one, all the players always have to be ready.
You can use 5 subs, obviously, at the minute. You use 3 against Watford. Were you tempted to use more? I mean, clearly you were happy with the players' fitness, which is why you didn't. But there's been a lot of discussion, Brendan, about whether it favours the big clubs with the bigger squads, this 5 substitute rule, and the fact that you didn't choose to use it. What do you make of that?
Well, no, I didn't feel in the game, and I think our fitness was very good in the game. If I could have, I would have used another substitution, but because of the dynamics of it, I wasn't able to do that. But I also think you have to be careful. Sometimes it's forced upon you, Rob, where you have to make a change with injury, So sometimes that doesn't help. But I think that the players have come back, and I think they showed in that first game the fitness level that they're at, which is at a really high level. And like I said, if we need to make the subs, they're there for us, which is great. But I don't necessarily will make 5 just because we can have 5 substitutes. We just see how the game works. And of course, there is one if you've made your 3, and of course you might have 1 or 2 more left, but you can't use them.
Yeah. James Justin impressed again, and he's likely to get a run in the side, I guess, until October-ish, when we're thinking that Ricardo might be back. 7 successful tackles, which was 3 more than anybody else on the pitch. What are you asking of him at the moment? What do you want to see from him?
Just for him to play his natural game. That was his, his second start in the Premier League, and I thought he'd done very, very well. James, he's only going to get better and better. First,
was that frozen for everybody?
What will improve is his football. Just playing and having those relationships with players on the pitch, gaining that confidence of being in the team. So his football will get better and better as we go along. He's athletically very good, and as I said, I repeat, he's a fantastic defender. And for someone so young, he's got lots more improvement to make, which is exciting.
Good stuff. Just to pause there, did that freeze for anybody else? Was that Brendan's wife or was that me? It did freeze. Okay, I think.
But I think you covered it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, thank you, mate. Brendan, can you give us the team news? Anybody struggling after that game? Because it's quite a quick turnaround, obviously.
Yeah, no, only an inclusion where Dennis Pratt's back available for the squad, so that's really good. He's trained and available. Everyone else is fine.
Good man. It's 3 games in 12 days for you. What does that mean in terms of team selection and how you're going to have to use the squad and change things a little bit?
Yeah, it's just manage it. Of course, you never want to make too many changes, but of course, we played Saturday, and obviously the Tuesday's a quick turnaround. So we just need to assess the freshness of the team, just to ensure we have that energy in the game. And we just take each game really.
First time you'll have played a home game with no supporters there, obviously, and you've had a taste of it at Watford. What can you tell us about the plans that you and the club have had in terms of what we're going to see in the stadium? Fans on screens, images on seats, sound effects in the stadium. Is that something you've been a part of those discussions?
Listen, we haven't done too much different probably to what a lot of the other clubs will do. They will decorate the stadium just to make sure it's the seats are filled and whatnot. There'll be the music and the preparation obviously before the game, and like you say, and most of the grounds now they have that fan interaction as well. But of course the one big element you do miss from the playing and manager's perspective is the noise. But like I say, we can't worry so much about that for now because it's not the part of the game on the pitch now. So we just have to focus really on the tactics, on the performance level, and like I say, the club will generate the best environment that they possibly can for the staff, for the away team, to ensure that they come and we can have a good game.
Last one from me, related to that. Is there no home advantage at all now? Do you think any sense of home advantage is gone? You probably have seen the stats in the Bundesliga where I think it's 65% of games have finished in away victories, which is extraordinary. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all, Rob. I think now without the supporters, it is a fairly decent leveler in the performance. So yeah, but I do think that the teams are still playing with the intensity that they would want. Okay, they may not be right up to the match level, but certainly, if you watch the game since it started, the intensity, the focus, and of all the players have been first class, and they're trying to give everything to the games to get the results. They're not games that. Of course, there's no supporters, but from a football perspective, there's a lot of intensity in the games. But but yeah, I would say that, especially at Leicester, where the crowd is so important for us, and they've been absolutely brilliant. But we just have to deal with that and look to get the results that we need.
Top man, thank you very much.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Guys.
From PLP, please.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Rob.
Hiya. It looks like Brighton have been working hard on their fitness as well. A late goal at the weekend. What did you make of their performance against Arsenal?
Matter how they work, and their football idea is very, very good. They want to control the game. They want to have the ball, and they want to work hard when they haven't got it. And they've got players that are threats. So they come from how they were doing in the game to score the late goal was very, very good goals. So they'll be pleased with that. An important 3 points for them, and they'll look to take that confidence into our game.
Because I guess there's no fans milling around the stadium on a match day or during the week, perhaps it hasn't got the same buzz. But how significant could this week be for you in terms of your targets, with an important game obviously in midweek and then the quarter-final at the weekend? Yeah,
it's important. However, they're all important. We'll make our assessment at the end of the season, but of course, like you say, we get off to a decent start, decent performance at the weekend. Now get a chance playing at home to pick up the 3 points, which is what we want, and we have to be hungry and motivated for that. Then, like you say, our game of a quarter-final of a cup, which is a really exciting game for us. So yeah, 2 big games, but you can only look at your next game and look to perform in that.
And just on Ben Chilwell, if I may, the goal capped off. Did you feel a really good comeback from him? Because there were times in the first half where he had his hands really full with Sarr, who's obviously a massive threat.
I thought Ben over the course of the 90 minutes was very good. You can still play well, even though someone else is a good player. I thought he was very good, Ben, throughout the game. Of course, Sarr is excellent, and maybe if he wasn't up against someone of the quality of Ben, he might have had a lot more joy. But Ben showed throughout the game, his defensive qualities, his covering positions, and like I say, his ability to get forward. And yeah, it was a brilliant goal. And I've been delighted with him since he's come back. He looks rejuvenated and fresh, and training well every single day. And he's took that into the game situations.
And just finally for me, Jamie Vardy, the goal drought goes on. I think it's 3 months now, but he looked very sharp at the weekend. Should he bring up this milestone that everyone's talking about? I guess it would be lovely for him to do it at home, but without supporters. How does that fit, do you think, in terms of milestones and bringing up such a remarkable achievement in an empty stadium? How does that impact it, do you think?
Of course, you don't get the chance to share the joy with the supporters, which is why we play football, for them and to entertain. But on the same token, if he gets a goal whenever it comes, whether it's tomorrow or the weekend or following, of course, the league 100 goals is what we would like, but I've got no doubt that will come, and I'm sure he'll celebrate it. It'll be an incredible achievement for someone who's come into the Premier League so late. But we hope there's going to be many more.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
TalkSport, please.
Brendan, hi. Alex at TalkSport. I hope you're well. Thanks for speaking to us. We were talking to Kasper Schmeichel last week ahead of the return, and he was saying that for you guys, it's very much try to win every game you can, and hey, you might even catch Man City, but the feeling was definitely looking up rather than down. I just wonder, realistically, are Leicester safe in the top 4 now, do you think?
I'll let you know at the end of the season. It's one where we know what our objective is, and we have 8 games to go, and we're going to give everything we possibly can to finish there. So still so much football to play. like I've said, we know what our ultimate goal is, but we're not going to get saturated by that. We have to enjoy the football that's left, focus very much on our performance and how we play. At the last game, there was lots of good aspects of the game. Our rhythm will get better, and we wanted to come back as quickly as we can. But and we know, and we've proven that when we play well, in the main we will win games. So nothing has changed, and he's absolutely every right, because that's what I say to the players. You always look ahead of you. You can never keep looking behind. Our job is to focus on ourselves and look forward, and I'm always optimistic in that we can improve and develop, and that's what we'll continue to do.
So not counting any Champions League chickens.
No. It's never been the case. We count on developing and getting better and improving our football philosophy and see where it takes us.
Yeah. Brighton showed on Saturday, as indeed did Watford when you played them, that they're going to be fighting, scrapping for every point they can get as they try and stay in the Premier League. For that reason, do you think playing Watford and Brighton back to back was almost a harder restart for you guys than if you had two matches against teams in the mid-table?
Not really. I think at this stage of the season, I've always felt in the last 10 games of a season, it doesn't matter who you're playing. There'll always be they're always going to be tough games. So, as you say, for different reasons, Watford and Brighton will be fighting, but obviously for equal reason for ourselves, we have to show that fight and resilience and quality as well for us, because we want to end up, like we said before, in that top four place. So I just don't think whoever you play at whatever stage or whatever team you play at this time of the season, it will always be a tough game.
This might sound like a strange question, but you've got plenty of players in your squad with a decent amount of flair. You think of James Maddison, Demarai Gray, Jamie Vardy and others. I just wonder, without fans, do you think there's a chance we might see in the next few weeks players trying things that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have done, simply because subconsciously it doesn't really feel like a normal Premier League game? Almost it's kind of like training in that sense. There's no one watching, at least in the stadium.
Not really. I think that the players will play their game. Of course, there's not the same pressure as such or influence from supporters, but we can still feel the edge in the games. And like I thought, if you looked at our game at the weekend, the first 10 minutes, even though there was no supporters there, it was a bit frantic. And it took after 10 minutes or so for the game to settle down a bit and find some sort of rhythm. So where there's so much at stake, there's still going to be the edge there. I think some players may well play with that freedom without having supporters there. But in the main, the players will play how they train and how they wish to play and continue with that sort of structure, really.
And my last one, looking ahead to the summer, Leicester, I guess people might think of as a team that could become a victim of its own success in terms of other clubs looking around and things. But do you think the new financial reality facing clubs at all levels, but I guess particularly the big guys as well, will actually make it easier for you to keep hold of players that you don't want to see leave?
I think at the club we're pretty relaxed on that side. The club have got good experience of situations where the so-called bigger clubs will come in. And listen, but we're always aware that whilst there's good work and good players going on, that will always be of interest to other teams that will have more money than ourselves. So we're not naive enough to know that. But we don't lose sleep worrying over it. It's one where we're here to develop players, to make them better, to improve the standing of the team and the club. And of course, if you're doing that, then players will that will be taken note of by other clubs. So, but we just have to continue with our work and always try to have a pipeline in place where if you lose one, which listen, it happens to the biggest clubs in the world, you lose players. So, a club like ourselves, of course, it may happen at times, but what's important is having the next player in. But we're certainly not actively looking to move anyone, that's for sure, and we want to keep everyone together. But of course, we'll look at that and see what happens in the summer.
Thanks.
Brendan, it's Ian here. I hope you can hear me.
Hi, Ian.
Hi. Just reacting to what Alex was talking to you about a few moments ago, when you said the term bigger clubs, it seemed to irk a little bit, understandably. When or what do you need to become a so-called bigger club, and how much does that tag affect you or not? Indeed, it just seemed to have quite a reaction.
No, none at all, Ian. Sorry if my voice went a bit different at that point, but no, listen, it's the reality of where we're at, within the realms of this country, and there's been teams that have been up there for many years, and like I say, for the likes of us and clubs like ourselves, we're looking to get ourselves into that bracket on a consistent basis, and the only way you can do that is by performing well and developing year on year. So, but listen, naturally, clubs like Liverpool and Manchester United, and the two of the biggest clubs in this country. So of course that's based around their fan base and the history of the club, and of course what financially that brings to those clubs. But Leicester City is a wonderful club in its own right, and we're trying to challenge that hierarchy that has been there for a number of years. So, but like I say, the players may, be attracted to that level of club, Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, or attracted to going abroad. But what I'm saying is, you can never worry yourself about that. We will always fight to keep the players here, and if they're not going to be here, then of course the club will get the best price for the player, and it's absolutely as simple as that. So I never tend to worry so much about it. We just create an environment here where they can improve and be better and continually look to take the club forward.
How did the procedures at Vicarage Road on Saturday go for you? We know they were very, very different, but I'm just wondering, I know you always try and learn lessons from things, but the pre-match briefing and having players changing away, I know you're allowed to all come together for a certain period of time, but buses and hotels and all of that, how did all of that go for you, that experience over the weekend?
Yeah, it was actually fine, Ian, right up until, as I said, the preparation was exactly the same. Only difference being, of course, when we left the hotel, we were in separate coaches, going to the ground, obviously much quieter arriving at the stadium. Obviously not so many people about. The change in facilities, of course, were different, all of that. But so naturally there was a change, but we were prepared. We'd already spoken about it, that we're going to have to be able to adapt in whatever environment we go into. We know it's going to be different. So let's just get on with it, and the players did exactly that.
Brighton's win over Arsenal saw a bit of a clashing of heads at full time with Mopai and Guendouzi, and there'd been a little bit of ill feeling during that game. But Brendan, it stuck out to me actually that seeing that it looked more rare than the rest of the games. The rest of the games, I don't know, is your view there's less heat in the games? Is there less kind of niggly kind of approach, maybe even theatrics as well? And if so, is that something you've noticed and you're having to adapt to? And do you even welcome?
Well, I think certainly what I have noticed in the early games is the limited times that VAR has come into use. That's certainly been very apparent. I don't think there's any less intensity from the players. I think the teams and the games I've seen, the attitudes are very, very good. They're very competitive because, like I said, there's something to play for in these last games. Obviously, with the supporters there, it does make a big difference. But I think the games are probably at its purest, in terms of there's no supporters, and now the guys are playing for their pride and also for their clubs. And like I said, they've still made for very good games.
They have, but less. Do you think less diving, less feigning, less in the referee's face? Has it taken a bit of temperature out of it as well, Brendan, for good or bad?
Well, that will always be for the good of it. But I've got to be honest, I haven't really noticed so much. Like I said, I've noticed that the VAR hasn't come into it as much as what we've seen, from, like, for example, at the beginning of the season, which that can only be a good thing. So probably haven't. I've been concentrating much more just on the actual tactics of the game.
Understood. You mentioned James Justin earlier on to Rob, and how impressed you've been with him. I wonder how different he is, because it's a big task. He stepped into Ricardo's boots, who I think was last season's player of the season, and in my view would certainly have been, and may even continue to still be up for it this season, given how consistently good he's been. How different a fullback is James Justin to Ricardo?
Well, they're both athletically very good. They can get up and down the pitch. James, where I'd say James first and foremost is a defender, and obviously Ricky over his time in England has become better and better. But I would say that James is a very, very good defender, positionally very good, and probably the difference is that he probably runs more without the ball than with the ball. You can see where Ricky's played as a winger, where he carries it so well, down the line on the inside, where he's absolutely one of the top fullbacks at this level. James, he's only coming into this level, so he's got a lot of development that he'll make in his pass selection and touch and everything at this level. But what he does is why I give him the opportunity, because he's got a wonderful attitude. He's athletically good, like I say, and he can defend. And he's very deserving of the opportunity. So they are different, but they have different qualities.
Final one from me, if you wouldn't mind. Are goals at the moment more valuable in this climate without crowds? And I know that you went one up and conceded an equaliser at Vicarage Road, but the point I'm trying to make is, the old adage of 2-0's a difficult scoreline, because if the opposition get one, then they're back in it. But that foothold, Brendan, usually comes from the crowd being right. It's only 2-1, got another way into it now. There's the foothold. So are goals more valuable now in the Premier League, do you think, without the crowd being able to spur the team that are behind on?
Yeah, I would definitely say that is a yes, Ian, because I think also what you can do, is my feeling being in the games, is that you can probably neutralise pressure more without the crowds. Because, like you say, if you're under a little spell of pressure where the crowd can then really could get behind the team, you can get hold of the ball and make passes, then that can take the sting out of the game. And because there's no then crowd to get the opposition chasing the game as such. So there's no doubt that that's where it can benefit. If you have that little period in the game where you are under pressure and you have to deal with it, I think you can neutralise it by getting the ball again and making passes, and that plays yourself back into it.